Okay, thank you everyone for coming out. So my voice is struggling. I've recovered from some sickness, but still lost my voice. I'll try my best to speak up. I apologize to anybody in the back who cannot hear me. With that being said, I call to order this special meeting of the Oconee County Council. Time is 6 p.m., January 23rd, 2024. All right, let's begin with a moment of silence. Okay, Mr. David Root, would you pray for us?
Yes, sir. Pray with me if you'd like to. Dearest Father, thank you for this day, for this moment, every moment that you give us that is a gift. And we are appreciative, and I pray that you would make us all the more grateful for all the many blessings that you have bestowed upon us. It's wonderful, this life that you've given us. For opportunities like this, we are also grateful for the public showing out in the numbers that we have tonight. Thank you. I pray that this meeting will go smoothly, that we would be quick to listen, slow to anger, slow to speak, and that we would really follow your wisdom. Council would get your insight, and this meeting would flow according to your word, your love, your principles. In your name I pray. Amen.
Mr. Glenn Hart, would you lead us in the pledge?
Yes, sir. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Do we have approval of minutes for the January 16th, 2024 regular meeting minutes?
So moved.
Have a motion, a second. Any discussion or changes? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye.
Vote is 5-0.
Okay, County Attorney comments, Mr. David Root.
I have none, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Root. County Administrator comments, Mr. Amanda Brock.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of council. Thank you all so much for coming. I do see a lot of familiar and unfamiliar faces. Just for safety purposes, every door in this building can be exited if we need to. Not everybody would need to go out that door. If you'll look just over here to these double doors, those are exit doors as well, and exit doors are located in the front of the building as well. Typically, we don't have this many people in the room, and God forbid something happened. I just want everyone to be aware that there are multiple exits if necessary. Also, restrooms are located on the hallway just outside of this room here. An additional set of restrooms is on the front hallway on your left.
Thank you, Ms. Brock.
Thank you, sir.
Next, we have discussion regarding the $25 million general obligation bond secured by Oconee County for the purposes of designing, acquiring, constructing, installing, equipping, and rehabilitating various capital projects, including wastewater improvements and related equipment. I'd like to turn it over to Ms. Amanda Brock.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Again, members of council, there has seemed to be a lot of interest in the county's future investment in economic and development expansion to the I-85 corridor for sewer. For reference for everyone, some of these may be difficult to see. There are sets of maps on the wall. Service area first. We're going to try to get those up on the screen. I didn't realize that they were as low as they are. So as you'll see on this screen here, Oconee County has identified service areas for water and sewer infrastructure in Oconee County. The pink area is the Walhalla District. The purplish blue area is the Westminster District. It's blue on this one, but purple over there. The yellow area is the Seneca District. And in the bottom portion, that's the I-85 corridor. For the last 20 years, Oconee County has had a priority for investment into the 85 corridor sewer expansion. That expansion has come to fruition with the passage of bond funding for the payment for the infrastructure expansion, specifically for wastewater on the 85 corridor. On the next map, thanks, Jen. There we go. This small green area on the bottom is not an identified exact location, but rather a geographic location, not based on property lines, not based on anything other than a conceptual idea of where sewer infrastructure expansion would happen and be most fruitful for commercial and industrial growth on the 85 corridor. This year, council prioritized again for the 10th year in a row as the top 3 priority in its annual strategic plan meeting, the sewer infrastructure expansion on I-85 corridor. Currently, we are working directly with the OJRSA on what is Phase 1, which goes from the Golden Corner Commerce Park located on Highway 59 down to the Welcome Center just past Highway 11. The next phase for engineering that we have been working on in conjunction with Blue Ridge Electric is for a sewer expansion from Golden Corner Commerce Park to the Blue Ridge Electric parcel at near exit 4. The remainder of the plan is just a plan. It's a verbal plan to see what naturally and organically grows from there. So if we get an industry based in one and there was a need for a sewer expansion directly across the street, that might be the next obvious phase. But there was no desire for sewer there, but there was a commercial interest at the exit 1. I can't point very well. I'm gonna do this anyway though. So along this side here, this very small southern corner that's on the opposite side of 85, that is what everyone knows is Sanctuary Point. At this time, I don't believe there's any interest in that, but if there were, there would be an opportunity for expansion there. Are there questions regarding the geographic area?
At some point, I want to peel back the onion, but you keep going.
I'm ready for an onion.
Okay, so, Mr. Durham, you mentioned I had a meeting in March of last year. I did. It was me and Ms. Brock representing the county. It was Chris Elazar and Scott Mulder representing the Sewer Authority. It was Senator Tom Alexander representing the governor and the state of South Carolina. At that point, the state and the governor, McMaster, wants sewer on all interstates in South Carolina. He's all about industrial development. So we talked about it at that meeting. What was presented was this piece of paper. Let me pass 2 more down. What was presented in that meeting was this piece of paper with estimates, do all that. That was drawn up with the engineer working with Mr. Elazar. It's dated. It's about a year old now, so maybe the estimate's a little bit off. We agreed in that meeting that the sewer would only go down to the I-85 corridor. It would not spider up into any other areas. It would not ruin any farmland. It was just the I-85 corridor. There was no talk of a mile and a half from the interstate outward. It was just the I-85 corridor. So if you look at this piece of paper, did everybody get one? So the high estimate, if you go to the bottom, was $28,744,000. The low estimate was $24,744,000. So we used the high estimate. So where was the funding gonna come from? Well, the state in total was gonna put in about, what's that? 10.9 million. Blue Ridge Electric was gonna put in 2 million for exit 4. And the county's portion on the high side was $15,848,000. That's the high side. So we talked about a $20 million bond. We said, okay, whatever we don't spend, we'll go back to the debt service fund and reduce the millage and reduce taxes. But then we talked about what's going on tonight, this afternoon. We talked about what's going on with voting. The federal government and the state government is audit us. how voting is not secure. To secure it, we need a new building for voting. It'd be on this campus, so we said we could use whatever money's left over to do that, and then whatever's left, put in debt service fund. That was an option. That's what we talked about in the March meeting. We assured people and the public, after that meeting, when we announced this, that we were not going to spider up into the county. We were not going to ruin any farmland. It was I-85 corridor only. And Senator Thomas Alexander was all for that. That's what we agreed to. Now, if I peel back the onion, so in December of this year, we had first and final reading of Resolution 2023-21. Mr. Mize, I think you didn't remember this, but I'm sure you do now. But I'll read you the important parts. It was a resolution authorizing acceptance by Coney County of certain easement and/or other property interests related to property located in Oconee County and positioned at or adjacent to South Carolina Highway 11 and U.S. Interstate 85 and other matters related thereto. Two important paragraphs. Whereas, excuse me, Charles Cormlake et al. Owns interest, including easement interest, in certain property located adjacent to South Carolina Highway 11 in close proximity to U.S. Interstate 85. Whereas, as consideration for the transfer, so asks that the county make commercially reasonable efforts incorporating with Oconee Joint Regional Sewer Authority in order to foster future sewer line connections for seller if and when such becomes viable in the subject area. Seller understands the county does not operate the subject sewer service and is controlled by the Oconee Joint Regional Sewer Authority, and thus the county cannot make no guarantee of future sewer service connections. Commercially reasonable efforts. So in project management, there's certain things are called scope creep. Okay, so when you manage a project, you want to avoid scope creep. Well, now that's creeping up Highway 11. Fast forward to 2.5 weeks ago, Ms. Brock, Mr. Durham and I were meeting in Ms. Brock's office about, concerning the interviewing for a new county attorney. The phone rings. It is the Director of Utilities for Chickasaw Point. Thank you. Chickasaw Point. Chickasaw Point right now has their own sewer. The utilities director said he heard that the county was going to run sewer up to Chickasaw Point. And I'm sure the Chickasaw Point folks would love to get rid of that liability and the county take it. Not sure where that came from. But it's in District 5. And so I don't know where it came from, but Ms. Brock, are there any plans to run it to Chickasaw Point?
Mr. Elliott, not that I'm aware of, and I had to relate to the director of the utilities. I took his name and number, did as much research as I could. I could not find anything that we had discussed as a council administrator. I have not found anything that had been presented. And I had to call him back and let him know that I knew of no such plans.
So also, in that meeting in March, we said on exit 1, it would be a force main. Now I hear it's gonna be gravity fed. Is that correct?
I don't have any plans for engineer drawings for that. That would be specific to topography, sorry. So a force main would be if you were to have a gravity line going down potentially, and then in order to get that wastewater back up to Golden Corner Pump Station, it would have to be a force main then, because then it would be pumped back up.
So we haven't changed it from force main to gravity fed.
There is no plan for that, no sir.
Thank you. Is there any plan to do a interstate overlay 1.5 miles inward for the sewer?
I have not been aware of any plan. I was requested a map, actually, I didn't make the map, our mapping office did, and I was aware of the map, but there has been no discussion about an overlay of such, not that I'm aware of.
Thank you.
Ms. Brock, will your presentation cover more of his questions, or would you prefer prefer to?
I think that's the sum of it. I think in the best interest of time, I know there's a lot of people signed up to speak. I don't mind addressing any question that I know the answer to, and if I don't know the answer, I'm happy to help provide that answer to you via email, telephone, whatever. You know, the sewer to 85 has been a vision and a mission and dream of Oconee County. I've been here 20 years. It has been a priority of county council for the last 13 years that I could find since we started doing strategic plans. I don't know of any other item or matter that this could address other than the vast number of feasibility studies that have been done, the plans that have been drawn. I was looking for some documents earlier related to as old as I could find. I found some from the late 90s. They weren't super specific about where on 85, but I think the mission of getting sewer to 85 for commercial and industrial expansion specific to the 85 boundary area was the goal.
Just to touch base, so, exit 4 was the number one priority for me. Not because what was stated up here by another council member, but it was stated strictly for topography of exit 4 has the best lay of any area out there. It's been commercially for sale for quite some time. I'm definitely in favor of exit 4. Exit 2 and 1's a good priority of the state. We're helping along with that. You know, exit 1, I see it more as hotels, and hopefully a project comes online to help pay for that bond. You know, so exits 1, 2, and 4, obviously it's gonna be running close to 3. The project comes online for 3 and requests that, to me, that's usually when the county kicks in and starts talking about, okay, how much sewer are we gonna run, and what are we gonna run, and what's the benefit of it? So, you know, I think when you get down to, you know, the $25 million bond and only using for those exits, everybody sees it as a way that there's gonna be all this sewer, speculative sewer, running all over the place. And speculative sewer is what's been done at Golden Corner Commerce Park, and what wasn't done in Golden Corner Commerce Park is the grading. And if OITP, the Highway 11 Industrial Park, shows us, without grading a park, you literally have nothing that you can do with it. People will come and look at it, and they will walk away from it because of the timeline it takes. Golden Corner grading has been a priority of mine, still a priority of mine. I'm in favor of that. To me, that gives you exit 4 and your Golden Corner Commerce Park for your industry. Exit 2 and 1, you know, the state's a big fan of that. I appreciate their help in that. I know they're gonna help with some other sewer as well. So I definitely stay in favor of exit 2 and 1. What caught me off guard on that was that massive increase, going from $8 to $12 million. And, we didn't have a lot of, hey, let's think back for a minute. Let's ask the state for, you know, some more funding. Let's look at this opportunity on what 1 and 2 is, because to me, your money that's gonna pay the bond back is gonna come between exits 2 and 4 and Golden Corner Commerce Park. So to me, those are gonna be the quickest builds. But 4 wasn't a priority, 2 and 1 were. Now 4 is a priority, and I think that's good. I think that's smart of council to do that. But to go out here and just lay $25 million down, and we don't have to spend all this money at one time. I think there's a false sense, and I surely hope it's not council's thing to go, hey, let's see how quick we can spend this in 1 year. Because council needs to sit back and think through this and look at topography. And I keep hearing Anderson County involved in it. I am not in favor of working with Anderson County in that area, because I mean, it's not rocket science to go right across exit 4 and look at the topography that Anderson County has. So why would Oconee County bring Anderson County into competition with us when we need to make sure that we're getting our money back out of the project? So again, I hope that's clear. I think there was one change I wanted to make on the exit 4 sewer, instead of running it down Doctor's Road, that now that we have sewer south 2, where it comes all the way up into there, that we call that the Yoder's area, that we're going all the way down and, to the Yoder's area rather than going down in the middle of, to be people's houses. So, I'm not in favor of the sprawl where we're just running lines to wherever. To me, that's not the smart conservative government that I think we all stand for up here. So just to kind of clear that up. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Brock, would you like to address any concerns on sprawling sewer?
Yes, sir. I'm looking at my calendar right now. Mr. Davis, your suggestion for changing the line there at the Doctor's Road was submitted to the engineering firm. I think there's a lot of rumors because I think there's an idea that there's a lot of engineering plans out there and there aren't. The engineering plans would be to we would have to do identification of the geographic area before we could send it out for engineering. So that geographic area, again, is a depiction of what was demonstrated when we went to provide the information for the bond rating agencies, and it's not necessarily a identified boundary. There may be parcels cut in pieces. Part of this map was taken from the sewer basin study that was completed last year by the Oconee Joint Regional Sewer Authority. Again, it's not an identified, it's not as cut and dry as these edges. A lot of it would depend on easement acquisitions, rights of ways, the availability of the desire for sewer in that specific area. I think a lot of the rumors probably came because I'm assuming, and if I'm incorrect, I apologize, that there was an assumption that engineered plans had already been created and that engineering plan was then laid on top of this map, and it's quite the opposite. This map was created first, then we go out for the engineering portion. Now, the Exit 4 engineering had already been procured by Blue Ridge Electric, and then we received the rights to have input on that engineering plan for that reimbursement schedule to fall in for the Blue Ridge reimbursement. It comes through utility tax, and that will come back to the county. But the county would need to work with the sewer authority as a government agency to an authority agency, which is also considered to be a government agency. So that's how that happened.
Thank you.
Is this an interactive discussion?
There'll be a
or are we
public
just
comment
listening?
period afterward, yes, sir.
Oh, so we talk after you guys are done?
Correct.
Okay.
Anybody else?
So, Mr. Chairman, I agree with Mr. Davis in that I've heard the comment that the Oconee County is flush with cash. Oconee County is flush with y'all's cash, with the taxpayers' cash, and I think we gotta be very careful how we spend y'all's cash. Thank you.
One thing I wanted to touch base on too, when you talk about running speculative sewer, you kind of do your research to kind of understand where the requests have come from. So from meetings and conversations I've been in with Joint Regional Sewer Authority over the years, if you talk about our exits, Exit 4 is one of the #1 requested sewer areas, followed by Exit 2. Exit 3 doesn't exist, but Exit 2, and then way behind is Exit 1. Golden Corner's been requested a lot because of industry. So that's kind of, when we start talking about priorities, that's kind of what your look is. Those of you that don't know, I live in the Oakaway area on farmland, like a lot of other people in that area. I don't want to see massive development out in that area where it's going to be Pigeon Forge, Tennessee. If I want to go there, I'm going to go there. One of the other things we need to look at is we're not the only exits in South Carolina getting sewer. If you're paying any attention up above us, where Pendleton's running sewer out to their exit, the exit behind them is going to get sewer in the next 24 months, it looks like. So there's a lot of other interstates, exits, that are getting sewer along with there. And if you follow into the states and all those grants, A lot of those are in there. There's a lot of speculative buildings that's been built. You know, we're not the only interstate that wasn't developed. I keep seeing that, you know, some reason we're the only place. Apparently nobody drives from exit 1 all the way to Charlotte because there's plenty of interstates that aren't developed. I see a lot of them do it wrong. You know, somebody said we missed out on Buc-ee's. I don't know if y'all see the trouble coming on with Buc-ee's, but Buc-ee's is a huge area. You know, and it takes up a massive area that to me is better suited for industry and things like that. So I think we gotta be smart what we're doing. You know, when we're doing our fee in lieu of, when we're getting these people online, we wanna make sure that we're getting the high profile jobs that I think all of us expect up here. But we also wanna make sure that we're taking care of an area, cause everybody moved here because of its Oconee County. And we are not struggling for places to work. And we are not struggling. Our household medium income has gone up, which is a good thing. You can come here and get great jobs, continue to climb the corporate ladder, and you can also come here and work in the trades and make really good money. So Oconee County is a diverse workforce, which is great. We went right through COVID where a lot of other people had struggles. We are doing the right things moving forward. The last thing we need to do is start running sewer all over the place where we have not seen the needs and want for sewer. I'll be quiet. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
So the motion made March 24th in budget meeting, directing county staff to seek bonding, was for exits 1, 2, 4, and then it was stated that Durham Road's on the same interstate. Talk about the Voda building, it was stated by Mr. Davis when he made the motion, that the bond did not include the annex facility. So that passed 4-0, and that's what the county staff and administration went forward and did. Took action to seek that funding. As projects go forward, I mean, I imagine exit 4 is coming up soon, sooner than the rest of them. And each of those actions is gonna have to come back to council for a vote. It's not like somebody in the county has a blank check to start writing it. I mean, each action is gonna come back to the full council.
I agree with that. We need to do it through council. We don't need one council member, 2 council members going out and say, well, we can do this, or we can do this, we can do this. That's why the crowd's here tonight. They've heard so many rumors that they don't know what's going on. Let's do it all here. Let's be transparent from now on. Can't change what's happened in the past. Let's be transparent going forward. That's all I ask.
Anybody else have anything to say? All right, here none, we're gonna go to, public comment. I remind everybody that you have 5 minutes to speak. When you get to 4 minutes, I'll hold up a yellow sign. It's kinda like a 1-minute warning. And then when you get to 5 minutes, hold up a stop sign. We're gonna do a little bit different, cause we have a little over a dozen written submissions that I'm gonna read. And so I don't have to read them all at the end with my lacking voice and maybe wear it out. I'm gonna intermit reading one, and then Miss Jennifer will call somebody forward. So I'm gonna start off with,
Mr. Chairman, real quick, I'd like for council to make a statement that we're not gonna have an extension over the 5 minutes because of the number of people.
I agree. We agree. Nobody making a motion for an extension. All right, so you heard it's hard, fat rule, 5 minutes. And all these written ones should be less than 5 minutes, they're not too long. So I'm gonna begin off with reading the first one. This comes from Miss Martha Steele of Seneca. It says, Oconee County Council members, I am very concerned about the available property throughout Oconee County and its possible development and the resulting impact on this development without stronger land management and development standards than are in effect at present. Lack of strong development standards could have disastrous consequences on increased traffic congestion and road safety, sewer infrastructure, water, and costly tax burdens for any needed new infrastructure. Please work with the Planning Commission to create and implement strong standards for all new developments in Oconee County. Thank you for considering my concerns.
Mr. Matt Alexander.
Hello,
I've never done this before, so I'm nervous, and I'm certainly not a public speaker, so bear with me. I'm Matt Alexander, and except for my military service, I've lived here all my life. I've been involved in manufacturing in one form or another for almost 30 years. When I moved back here as a young man, I looked long and hard for a good paying job with good benefits. It was hard, but I was blessed with an opportunity, and because of that, I've been able to provide for my family and have a comfortable life. Sadly, that opportunity was not in Oconee County. I know a lot of people are afraid of what sewer expansion and new industry may bring. I get that. The unknown can be scary, and I get it. But what I can say to that, let's ride by Borg Warner or Schneider Electric. It's not a wasteland. It's not an industrial wasteland there. Go by the 3 Michelin plants in Anderson. They aren't polluting our rivers, and they haven't made undesirable neighborhoods pop up. There's still a lot of rural land around them. In fact, one of them's surrounded on 3 sides by pasture. I would just love to see the county wisely bring in entities that will provide the most opportunity for the most people, places that will provide opportunity long after we're all gone. My son's in the military now. I'd love nothing more than for him to be able to come home and find a good-paying job, several good-paying jobs to choose from for all of our youth to have that opportunity. It can be done, and it can be done right. Thank you all for letting me speak.
Thank you, Mr. Alexander.